Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with a lesson. I'm going to talk a little bit about the end times and what we can expect, what it'll look like. Hopefully, we're not there for most of it, if not all of this that I'm going to talk about. But just use Revelation in a few different parts and talk about what to expect and the way it will be. And I just want people to know, take-home message to this is that it's not going to be unlivable, right up until the end. And I want people to know that, and I'll support that, with a couple verses. And just using common sense. Again, everything in the Bible should make sense if we use our common sense, and this is one of those. Like, just looking at the world that we live in now, even if God were to kind of keep it the way it is, it's difficult to live, for sure. And so he can only increase the intensity some fixed amount before it becomes unlivable. And that little amount that's remaining, I believe, is described in Revelation 16 and then capped off in 17 and 18 with America being destroyed. And even after that, the world is still, co-livable. And so that's very, very important to keep in mind, just because we've all been programmed, anybody who's in the church, in the Christian church, mainstream church, and then had anybody, preach on the end times, they've probably made it seem like, it's going to be literally hell, but we're living in hell right now. It's just God is going to increase the intensity of the hell, and then people will acknowledge that it's hell. And so again, some of us know it now. Some of us have known this probably for many, many years, decades, their whole life, whether theologically or just with what they've gone through. And so, that's God's plan. That's what he's trying to do, is essentially get people to acknowledge that, and then there's a large group of people, God's left-hand side, who will never admit that, who will never admit that this world is diametrically opposed to God. And so they just keep lobbying and shilling for Satan and believing his lies, and that's part of this lesson. And so I want people to understand that the sequence of events requires two witnesses prophesying in the streets of America for 1,260 days, and then at the end of it, America's burned. According to Revelation 17 and 18. And I want people to listen to this reaction of all the merchants of the earth who are making stuff for us to consume predominantly. Listen what Revelation 18 says. Revelation 18:11, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. So, merchants of the earth. Right away, just this verse alone, we know that this is America. It's, again, if the Bible's true, let me take that back. If the earth is flat and stationary and the Bible's true and we're in the end times, America's Mystery Babylon. That's just a fact. And this one verse proves it. You don't even have to read all of 17 and 18. No Deuteronomy, no all the other prophetic books. Just, look at our government, look at what's going on in the world. But just this one verse proves that it's America. Revelation 18:11, I'll read it again. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. There's no other place on earth that, if it's destroyed, would, elicit this kind of reaction. And that has to be America. And so listen to what they're saying. And so at the end of it, there is still commerce. I want people to know that. They're not saying this in the middle, at the beginning of the Great Tribulation. They're saying this at the end, after it's destroyed. So right up until that point, there's still America buying stuff. I want people to really, really understand this point. So they're going to say this only after verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, the great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And so it's being destroyed. It's been destroyed. And then now they're saying that who's going to buy our stuff now? And so up until that point, even late in the Great Tribulation period, right up to the end of it, there's still going to be a narrative that, everything will be fine, And so that's what the Bible also predicts and prophesies in another place that I'll get that verse right now. This is also a good one that describes the whole sort of vibe, of what point I'm trying to make here. In Psalms 49:11, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling place to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. And so God's left-hand side, according to Psalms 49:11, they're constantly going to just say it's going to keep going, no matter how bad it gets. And so I just want people to know that that's what God's left-hand side is programmed to do, is just play along, hunker down, even if they're, got sores on their body, even if the sun is scorching them, even if there's blood in the water, whatever, just listen to the story and move on, and that kind of thing. And so that's happening, and so that's everywhere in the Bible. And so there are groups of people who will not complain, with for Satan, and just keep going along. So know that that's the case. So Revelation 17 and 18 describe America's judgment. So that's right at the end. And so there's still commerce, up to that point. And we're told that as well. If you read Revelation 11, after these two witnesses are killed, Revelation 11:10, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts to one another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. That's never happened in human history. It's not happening now. There is no group of prophet that's tormenting the earth. These Hebrews are idiots, and they think that that's them. No one cares about, what they teach. They're just teaching nonsense. Like I said, many of them are ball earthers. So that's absurd to believe that any of these people are the two witnesses. These two witnesses are hated by the entire world because they actually have power. And so how else can two witnesses irritate the whole world except having supernatural power to do the things that are required of them in Revelation 16? And so, hopefully people get it. End Times Teacher and GMS and Sakari and all these alphabet soup Israelites are just actors. They have no idea what's going on in the Bible. And so again, here I want people to understand this is at the end of the Great Tribulation period, the 1260 days. Their prophecy will last exactly that, not a day less or more, according to Revelation 11:3. And so, which I'll read just to comfort, so get that out. Revelation 11:3, and I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Everything about that is literal. I have no reason to not believe that. I definitely don't have a reason to believe any of these clowns, the Left Behind Saints, or any of these Hebrew Israelites are the two witnesses. I believe it's literal power that's being given from God. I believe it's literally two witnesses. I believe it's literally 1,260 days. And I literally also believe that they're going to be clothed in sackcloth, because that's what the Bible says. So they're going to look poor, and they're going to be two so-called black men prophesying in the streets of America. But the spirit inside of them will be Moses and Elijah. So they're going to be special, and they have to be in order to just have this be fulfilled. They're getting power from God. And so just know, after those two are killed, the world, like I read in Revelation 11:10, they're going to think that everything's good now. So this is at the end of the Great Tribulation period. I want people to understand that. The end of it. People are still thinking like everything's going to be fine, like maybe there'll still be sports, and here we're told that they're going to send gifts to one another. So there's still going to be ability to send stuff, infrastructure. I want people to understand this. This is a very, very important point. And so if the end of the Great Tribulation is livable and these people are still sending stuff thinking that everything's going to be fine, where are we right now? Just think about that. That means that the end times have a different flavor, a different feel than we've been taught by these retarded, Christian people, all of us, and still to this day, including, the Hebrew Israelites, who think that there's going to be chaos, everybody's just, dying, killing every shit, gunslingers everywhere. There's definitely going to be chaos. And the Bible says there's definitely going to be food shortages and famine in America. But I want people to understand, a famine still means that it's livable. That means the government's going to have to ration food and gas and everything. The Bible says death, mourning, and famine. And so deaths are beginning now. When people are unemployed and they run out of money, and this is not, I'm trying to trivialize this, I'm not far from this, but people are dying, they're just killing themselves. And the government would never publish these rates of suicide, but these things are happening, and so they're only just going to intensify once the two witnesses begin, their ministry here on earth, and then tormenting the left-hand side. And so all I'm trying to say is it's not far off, where these things can literally begin on a day's notice. And it literally will be on a day's notice when Christ returns. And then the two witnesses are, quote, dropped off here in America. And so If the end is fairly livable still, and there's still like infrastructure to send things, then and also like I've done in a past lesson, verse 11, and after 3 days and a half the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And so, the verse I actually wanted was 11:9. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. So everybody in the world will be able to see them. That's the Bible prophesying subtly, but amazingly, telecommunications. You know, that images, video can be transferred around the world. How would it know that? How would, John the Revelator know that thousands of years ago, that that's even possible? He has no idea, that that's possible. We'd be like, what are you talking about? That thought could never even enter that person's mind, but he wrote it, and it's written, so it's got to happen. So everybody's going to see these people, pass away, and they're going to rejoice. So they're going to think like everything's okay. Like, that's what I want people to really understand. Like, they're going to think like, oh, okay, we got rid of them. So they're going to be made into villains, and they're going to be the source of the problem, but there's still going to be infrastructure to keep those people thinking that everything's going to be fine. But at this point, everybody has the mark of the beast. This is at the end of the Great Tribulation period. And this is where the destruction comes after that. God at that point has no reason to let a world, earth, filled with people with the mark of the beast just continue on. Like, they're all just robots at that point. So God could take a day or a millisecond, it doesn't matter at that point, or a year. He's just going to wipe them all off. And the Bible says in Daniel it's going to take 30 days. So that's what he's going to do after that. But they're still going to, I want people to know, they're going to be clueless. They're going to still listen to the government narrative. Like, whatever the stories are for all the plagues in Revelation 16, if you read those, there's going to be a story associated with that. This upcoming rapture, which I believe will happen soon, the second coming, will be called aliens, fake alien invasion or something like that. Then these sores will probably be linked to coronavirus, which is the first plague in Revelation 16. Then it's blood water, which I said could be like an oil spill or something like that, like BP or something. Then the next thing is heat. And so it could be just like a heat wave, or like this global warming could be some narrative for that. That's the next plague. And then darkness comes on America. And so it's just a power outage, grid attack or something, and that kind of thing. And then it's the sixth one is preparing for Armageddon. And then the final one is thunder, lightning, and then earthquake. And so these are all things that, it's very easy to think that these things will happen, or possible for sure. And then you can almost make up the headline that CNN and Fox News will push that these actually are, or no, what they're going to tell, the people that these are, but it's actually God doing this. These are angels, pouring these out, under the guidance during the time of the two witnesses prophesying, for 1260 days. And so, and the gospel is being preached throughout this time, because the UFOs and all that will be interacting with the earth regularly. And so all these things are going to be viewed as like enemies, and the world is going to be against the two witnesses for sure, and then against, God. And then the final destruction comes when Christ returns and destroys everybody with the mark of the beast. And that's, the end of it, the end of the wrath of God. And so that's a sequence, and again, I just want people to understand, like, there's groups of people that are going to believe this, but I want people to also understand that less and less people are going to kind of fall for this. That's why, again, I have a very strong sense that we're close to the end, because there has to be a large group of people who are going to believe this narrative for these plagues. And so I know that there's still a lot, for sure, like the rumpuses and all these people that just believe whatever the government says. He doesn't speak out in any way against the government. So it's people like that. And then everyday average people are just programmed to go along with this to make it happen. So I just want people to know it's becoming, that number is like shrinking, and so those are the people I feel like are waking up. candidates, all of us, for God's right hand side. But it's the government's not gaining credibility every day, for sure. And so that's why, again, I think that we're at a very, very unique time in human history, where it's like Christ is literally at the door. And so another thing I wanted to say, related to the prediction that I made in I think it was on Non Sequitur officially back in the day. And I said that America will be destroyed by the end of 2023. And so at that time, I did not receive this understanding that I received on the 1st of this January 2020 about the sequence. But in a way, if I would have known that, it would have made, I probably would have been more inclined to make a more aggressive prediction. So I'm kind of glad I didn't know that at that time. But, it's what I promised, because I saw Fight the Flat Earth in the chat yesterday on Modern Day Debates. I saw him, and I'm like, I'm going to honor up, to my word that, if America is not destroyed by the end of 2023, then, I'll sit on your panel with a dunce cap on. I even doubled down, and then I'll destroy the Bible. And so I want people to know that's not, obviously, I'm recommending other people do that. But for me personally, it would be therapeutic. Like, I would want to do that. And I feel like I would be doing a service to myself and the world, because if the God of the Bible does not reveal himself prior to that, then I don't think that it's true, And so that's not me being extreme or for shock value or anything. That's just, there would be so many contradictions. Like, the list would go on and on and on if that were the case. And that was before I even knew this Corona stuff was here. And so now it's just like, it's over for me. In a way, now I've realized that I don't even think I'll have the patience to make it to the end of 2023 financially, and probably even bigger issue is not even the money, it's just patience. And so me personally, I kind of, have my eyes and ears sort of looking, in tune to the Bible for this year, but lightly next year, and literally nothing after that. So, that's all of 2022 and 2023. I won't actually really care, that much about the Bible. Again, I'm not going to speak out against it, but after 2023 and January 1, 2024, I will not have the Bible near me. And again, this is hypothetical if I'm actually on the earth at that time, which I hope none of us are, but there will be, for sure, for the Bible to be true. There has to be. But that's my timeline, and so I think that's plenty of time for these words to manifest. And so that's, again, why I believe that Christ has to return soon. These two witnesses have to begin this 1,260 days soon, or else America will just unravel without these words coming true. And then if these words do not come true in Revelation 16 or 17 and 18 or 11, then the Bible's not true, and so, or in the very least, not relevant to this generation. And I do not want to imagine what a future generation will look like with the Bible in front of them. I don't want to know what that generation will look like, and I don't want to know what they'll be doing to this book, in terms of reading it and interpreting it, making up all this stuff. Just came off Ranty's Hangout, people talking about God as male and female and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's not funny because it's like blasphemous, but all we can do is laugh because it's so stupid. Just what's going on. It's insane for the things that people say about God in a very kind of nonchalant, matter-of-fact way. It's insane. It's irreverent, and I definitely do that occasionally, but it's just everywhere. And so, I may have to drink from that cup of sorrow, but it's like crazy to me. Like, it's literally everywhere. You can't avoid it. No one, takes God seriously. And so that's why I know that this has to be that time period, because after this generation, no one's going to care, about the Bible, or who knows what kind of society we would have. So I didn't say, I don't think I said Christ's second coming. I said America destroyed, which is fine. It's semantic. It really doesn't matter, because it basically, to me, it means that Christ has to return, because if Christ returns and I'm not taken away, that's fine. That's God's decision, obviously, and it's already been decided. The next day, I'm out of here. Like, that day, let's say he comes in the morning, I don't exist, in the body after that day. I'm out. And so I'm not like hanging around waiting for, that means that God's elect are taken away, which are the truthers of all truthers. And then there's the mixed multitude, which are scattered, but God's elect are scattered too. Even if a concentration are here in America, but they're scattered across the earth. The Bible says that God's going to be, recombining his people through the salvation experience from, everywhere on earth. And so I'm not going to connect with them because I don't know who they are. And then I'm definitely not going to be able to connect with a mixed multitude because now there's an invader. And so there's nothing left here. Like the cream of the crop has been taken away. All we have left are a majority, all the people are going to take the mark of the beast and the mixed multitude, which no one knows exactly what number it is. It's a big number, but it's not billions or anything like that. I would suspect it's on the order of millions of people, because people think that they're going to refuse the mark of the beast and be on God's right-hand side, but some people are going to get these sores at the beginning of Revelation 16, which is going to communicate to everyone that they're on God's left-hand side. Whether they take the mark of the beast or not, God's going to put sores on people. And so he's going to let everybody know that they're on his left-hand side, whether they've been microchipped or not. And so it's God's decision. There's a lot of people, I'm assuming, in the truth community that are on God's left-hand side, and so I could be too, but I'm not waiting around to find out whether I am or anybody else is at that point. I don't care. I definitely don't care. I don't care about the world right now. I definitely don't care about it then. And so just be aware of that. It's going to be a huge number of people, massive number. And it has to be for these words to come true. And so, so unless Christ returns after December 30th, like the day before Christmas, give me one day to kind of disappear if I'm still here. And so if Christ returns after, I just assume he never will. Then I'll honor what I said, and I'll have to honor what I said with Fight the Flat Earth and those non sequitur people that I will burn, a Bible in a safe place, not in my apartment. But and I think I would be doing a service to the world, because it would be, for me, I got deceived with evangelical Christianity. It's just a learning thing. God brought back with Flat Earth, and then, got this level of understanding. But I'm not going to be wrong twice, and just shoot for a third time. It's over for me in the Bible, fully. Wash my hands. That's why that date I picked, because I kind of could, in my mind, I could sense the tolerance that I have for being deceived about, the shape of the earth, and then all the other things that I was going through at that time, the corporate world just being a joke and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to give anybody else my timeline. I suspect God's elect have a tighter timeline, way tighter than I am, because they're righteous, very righteous. And so how are they supposed to function in this world full of just nonsense? And so they're probably complaining to God 24/7. The Bible says that their souls continually cry out to God. So it's not funny, but mine does most of the days, most of the time. So but God actually listens to them. So 2023 December 30th, I guess, T-1, day -1. If Christ doesn't return before then I'll still potentially be here in the body if I have, the resources to stay here. And then the Bible is not true, and to me, it's very, very evil at that point, officially. I won't even really be following it, like I said, for all of 2022 and 2023. Let's say I'm here, I won't even care. No live streams, nothing like that. I'm not going to speak against God or any kind of thing, because I still don't know at that point whether it's true or not, but I'm not going to push it or wait or anything like that, because the problem is there's so much evil and stupidity, and that's this big troll that's encroaching on my life and a lot of people's lives. And people are not even into the Bible. And so that's starting to take up too much room, volume, in my life. And so I just, my mental math, I can only sort of withstand that for a little while before, it's not safe really for me, to associate with the God of the Bible and wait, and have a false expectation for something like this, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to tear people's faith down. I'm actually trying to build it up, because it's very, very exciting. If somebody were to tell me that, that these things will come true and you'll only have to wait, a year or two, 3.5 years max, that'll be exciting, for sure. And so the Bible does say, those who are saved will have to endure. And so, but I just don't want people to think that endurance means forever, or just, continue to bend over backwards for this beast system when that's prophesied to run and rule the end times. That's not what God's talking about. He knows the exact pressure, literally, to put on people to get them to give up. And then once the number that he wants does that collectively, then it's over. That's when he returns. And so there's another group that need a bit more, prodding. And so that's the mixed multitude. And so, I'll wear the dunce cap, December 31st, 2023, last day of 2023. And, take the ridicule and all that. Again, I don't have any reason to think that I'll be on earth that long, just from a financial perspective. And so that's again why I did that mental math. If I'm not going to be able to withstand that time period, how are other people, who are in debt? And I'm not saying this to, make fun of people. I think it's scary. People are in debt, don't have a job, have family to support and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm lucky because I'm just by myself. I don't have anybody else to support. So I'm in a much better situation than a majority of Americans. And, the clock is ticking on myself. And so financially, I can live like a kind of a pauper next year, if I really wanted to. I could live well for the next full year. Well is like what I normally kind of use in a month, and maybe a little bit more, but that's kind of my timeline, financially and stuff. And so, and I'm not going to get a job. I can't work in corporate America. It's just a joke. I actually put like flat earth on my resume. And so like, I'm kind of using my required search things, which actually I think is 0 now, but I just send out my resume just in case they hit me with a technicality. I just put flat earth, and like end times prophecy in my website on my resume. And so, that's my way of getting the message out. Recruiters who bug me, I'm going to bug them. They troll me, so I'm going to troll them. And so they'll read about flat earth. Maybe they'll go to my website and stuff. So my YouTube page. So, that's where I'm at. So, I don't ever expect to, it's kind of a strange thing for me is that I set up win-win scenarios. I always do this in my life, and it's a way that helps me cope with whatever, I'm going through. I always set up 2 options, and I like both of them. I love both of them. And so that's what I've done throughout life, just in everything. And so I love the thought of Christ returning, whether I'm taken or not, actually doesn't matter. It's just that I could see that. Let me read the verse that promises that. Revelation 1:7, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. So if my eyes are lucky enough to see that, that's worth living. Even if I was deceived and lied to and, all that kind of stuff, that would be amazing. That I would be thankful that I've lived in this generation, whether I'm taken or not. That would be an incredible thing. So that's exciting, and there's a deadline for that, for me personally, to wait for that. And then if it doesn't happen and then I'm on that live stream, I would be fine with it, because then I actually would feel like I deserve that ridicule because I've been lying to people, and I've been lying to myself, been deceived twice. And so through with evangelical Christianity, and then, which I really had no hope of ever, not being deceived, because I was just completely like everybody else, ball earther, pretending to be a Christian, just Bible studies, saying all the Christianese nonsense, basically all the stuff Good Servant and Tom talk about, just nonsense. I'm saved, and like I love God and God's sacrifice, grace, and all this nonsense. So that kind of stuff, and so I just had no other, representation of the true gospel to think about, to even consider. But now this was my own, I own this, what I'm teaching on my channel and all that kind of stuff. And so I've obviously learned from other people, but this was me wrestling with the God of the Bible, hopefully, and the Bible. And so this is on me, and that's exciting. And so I can't come up with a better interpretation. I don't see any other good ones out there. They're all stupid. Literally, they're all retarded. And so I wouldn't wait for like a third round, maybe third time's a charm or nothing like that. So I would accept it. I would laugh, sometimes I have a good sense of humor about this. And, I would just say that, they're probably right. The atheists or the people that hated the Bible, then they're right, to hate it because, God flopped on a lot of his promises and stuff. And so I would explain what exactly, at that point I could articulate exactly the many, many things that he's, failed to come through on. And so, it would be fine. I wouldn't be, embarrassed. It would be a relief, And so I like that situation too. And, we would just have fun with it and fight the flat earth. Like we'll have a party and I'm like, all right, that's cool. I probably have shots. I would be like done with the Bible, and so I would say though, I don't regret this, the last few years with flat earth and all these other things, because digging into the Bible, it's been like, it's an incredible thing because it was like a puzzle, and the cool thing about it is that I'm correlating real life, most importantly, the Bible, and then other people's opinions. So I have to like talk to people and learn, things from them and, piece it together, and so what I present on my channel is the result of all that, research and analysis and consideration and study. And it's very, very solid. If the Bible is true, that's the way it's going to happen. I know that. And so, again, the only thing that I have a lever to pull is my tolerance for being here. And that's the only, quote, free will that I have. And so, and I've expressed that with these deadlines and stuff. But it's a win-win for sure. It's an exciting time. I think 2023 is on the late end of people waiting. There would be a lot of contradictions if, to me, Christ doesn't return this year. Definitely next year. And after that, I'm just mildly interested in the Bible. After 2023, not interested at all, at all. And so I can't even imagine what the world would be like in 2023, and it's not even that far away. And so, again, I think the world is unlivable right now for people who are not even really that righteous, which is what I consider myself. Like, I call myself mildly righteous. Like, I try, a little bit here and there. So what's it like for like actual people that God cares about deeply here on earth, that, that like it has, for the God of the Bible to be real, he definitely has to reveal himself soon. And like it says here in Revelation 1:7, he has to reveal himself to everybody in a physical way where we all see him. And so it's going to be, the sky will be filled, with Christ and his angels, in UFOs. That's what we're waiting for, or else the Bible's not true. And so, I highly doubt that I'll be on earth December 31st, 2023. But, if I am a man of my word. I will do that, obviously in a safe way. I don't want to set off the fire alarms or anything like that. But I think even the ballers know, just from the tone of these debates, that this system worldwide is collapsing. That's just obvious. And we're not going to bounce back from this. The wealth inequality is too huge. The corporations are completely useless, including the corporation of religion, and Christianity. They're just worthless, and so that's what the Bible describes America as in Esdras, just a worthless body. And so, yeah, he's not far away. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.